Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics. How you doing? Welcome to the Fantasy MD's Baseball Podcast. Today is Wednesday, April 27th, 2022. This is our 17th episode. Your host, Dominic Martino. Here as always with my co-host, Matthew Arne. Matt, how you feeling today, my brother?
Good. A little tired, kid won't fall asleep. But, other than that, it's one of those days where I'm ready to talk baseball.
Yeah, right. You know what? Well, let's see if we could bang out a little bit here, get you something else, get the mind in a little better spot, right, my brother?
Please and thank you.
All right, of course. All right, so today finger on the pulse. We're gonna start off with I think somebody that's at the top of everybody's thoughts right now, and that's gonna be Anthony Rizzo. Big night last night, 3 bombs, looked great. I mean, a couple of them were to the short porch, but you know what? I think everyone's making that out to be a little bit bigger of a deal than it is. I mean, the guy is playing half his games in the Yankee Stadium anyway, so if he could keep doing that, I mean, hey, Rizzo, keep doing it. But in general, though, you know what? The Yankees look good. They've been hot lately. They're scoring a lot of runs. The pitching looks great. I got the game on right now. Montgomery looks awesome. Taillon's been great. It's ironically, Garrett Cole's been, a little bit of the problem, but otherwise, man, Yankees and Blue Jays at the top of the division right now are going to be duking it out all year. My brother, what are you thinking so far? Rizzo with the hot start,
Yeah, I mean, Rizzo's killing it. I didn't expect this kind of production from him, truthfully. Usually he's a little bit more on the DL with the bombs, but I guess that short porch definitely helps. But, I mean, hey, I'm not complaining because I'm going to totally take him. And right now he's killing it. His total numbers are 13 runs, 8 home runs, 18 bombs, 2 steals, which is just bonkers to me, and 283. So, I mean, he's having a great start to the season in comparison to last year, which was kind of on a downward turn where I really was counting him out. Truthfully, he was pretty buried in my rankings. He had 73 runs, 22 bombs, 61 ribbies, 6 stolen bases, and batting 248. So, it's like night and day from last year. And honestly, I think this may be the real deal. Look what happened to LeMahieu when he came over. Things just kind of translate and kind of get revived because you're in that Yankee Stadium or surrounded by a team that's going to win or can win at least. So, it kind of like rejuvenates the player. And I think, this production may be here to stay. Maybe not at this level, but, not too far off, truthfully.
Well, I'll say this, my brother. You know what? It was a rough 2021 for Rizzo and a rough 2020. But I mean, not to sound like I'm making excuses for the guy or anything. But 2020 was the short COVID year. A lot of guys played in different ways that didn't translate to their careers and didn't translate going forward into 2021 and so far this year. But you know what? Before that, I mean, going back from 2014 through 2019, the guy was an MVP candidate 4 times. He was an All-Star 3 times. He was a Gold Glove 3 times, a Silver Slugger once. So, I mean, he's got it in him, and he's got a couple of decent bomb seasons. He's got, 32, 31, 32, 32. So I think, my personal opinion, I think Rizzo can hit you 30 bombs. I mean, the RBIs could be close to 100. Like, once again, he had 4 100 RBI seasons. So I think he could be a 30, 100 guy and hit 280, 290. So he's back in my top 10 first baseman. The community seems to be outside the top 10 on him after this, but I mean, I think the upside is literally what you've seen in pretty much his whole career. Once again, those 2 years prior, there's a lot of reasons that he couldn't have performed as well, but I don't want to beat a dead horse here. One thing I do want to point out about the Yankees, I totally forgot, and he's on the back of my shirt right now. That's Luis Severino. He was perfect through 5 yesterday. But he did fall short in the 6th inning. He wound up giving up 3 runs, and then the bullpen let up 1, so it was 4 earned runs total. But he looks sharp through 5. I want to say this: once he gets stretched out, he's going to be scary. So right now, I would say go out and buy on Luis Severino while we're talking about the Yankees, because man, once he's missed a lot of, the past 3 years, he's hardly pitched. So once he gets stretched out and he's able to, get that pitch count up a little bit more and feel comfortable with it, I think he's going to be a top, at minimum 35 pitcher and with potential to get into the top 20. So I think he's a buy right now. Matt, any thoughts on Sevy, or do you just want to keep pushing?
No, I mean, you pretty much covered Sevy right now. He's doing Sevy things, and that new pitch, the cutter, is actually very successul. And you know what? It's going to help with his longevity of his arm and kind of help steer him away from re-aggravating the elbow. And I'm not going to do too deep dive in pitches that generally cause Tommy Johns, but guys that usually throw a lot of sliders usually get TJ. So the cutter is probably offsetting that and kind of helping him do that, and it's nasty as hell. So between those two pitches and him able to take that off, I think that, you know what, that pitch combo is going to be ridiculous. Let's see what he does moving forward.
He had that 4-pitch mix working last night, and we haven't seen that from Sevy before. So you know what? He's mixing it up there. I think he's going to have a great year. Yeah. So moving on from finger on the pulse to news and notes here, we're going to talk about Chris Bassett, who just had some words about the baseball, and a couple other guys chimed in, but I think Chris Bassett was the most vocal about it, saying that the baseballs have been inconsistent so far this season, that, you know, it's throwing guys off, and it's not really showing in the stats, but I think it's showing in that there's been a little bit more hits batsmen, a lot more walks, pitchers feeling uncomfortable with the ball, and the power's down. Power's down right now all across baseball. Batting average is down all across baseball, and it's going to be interesting to see if the MLB makes any changes here with the ball. We'll keep you guys posted if we hear anything, but as of right now, looks like power is going to be a little bit down till the weather gets warmer, and it looks like the pitchers are a little bit frustrated with the control. So once again, we'll keep you posted if we hear any changes with the ball, but as of right now, it looks like it's going to be a little bit frustrating.
It is what it is. You know what? This is MLB. They're trying to make it more entertaining. So, you know, bear with them, I guess. But I guess let's move on to this next piece of news, and that's, oh, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, take the lead, brother. You got this one.
Surprise, surprise. Alberto Mondesi is hurt once again with his knee. You know what? Now let me get off my announcer voice and just straight up say that, you know, there's no real expected timetable of if he's going to be on the IL or if he's not. But you know what? This is just going to be a string of a bunch of things that's going to happen. And you know what? If you drafted him, I hope you got your complimentary crutches and ace bandages and knee braces and headgear and tissues to cry on, because you know what? It's just going to be a long road of just injury-prone garbage. And truthfully, here's where I'm at. I had somebody asking me on Instagram, you know, what should I do? Should I drop him? Should I drop this other guy? And I'm like, honestly, drop Mondesi. It's that point. You know, let him be a landmine for another team. Let them pick him up and stash him and deal with the hurts and pains. And you go pick up somebody that's going to produce for you now, like I don't know, Jock Peterson, or I don't know anybody from the other day's episode. So, you know, that's just me. But, you know, if you want to hold them, to each his own, but I'm going to let you know it's going to be a dead cap. It's like holding Trevor Bauer right now.
Yeah. Well, right now it looks like the update is that, you know, he left Tuesday's game with a knee injury. The initial check was encouraging. There's no structural damage. He tweaked his left knee while trying to retreat back to first base on a pickoff attempt. It looks like he's going to be reevaluated at some point. I didn't really see any news from today, so we'll keep you guys updated on that one. But as Matt said, I mean, I don't know if I'm dropping him. I kind of want to wait to see if he hits the IL, because, you know, he's kind of worth the stash. My thing with Mondesi that I've said since, you know, we've started this whole podcast, and I said even before that, is that he'll be the best player in baseball for 1 month. You never know which month it's going to be. You might as well roll the dice, because you never know which one it's going to be. But he will be, it may sometimes not even a month. It will be not even 2 weeks. But he'll steal bases, lift for average. He'll do all that. But he's not consistent. He gets hurt. You know, even with the Royals, you know, they got a lot more guys coming up. You know, Bobby Witt's out there playing. He's looking better the last week. They really don't have to. They really don't even have to rely on Mondesi anymore. So I could see the Royals moving on from him as well. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this guy. I'm not a huge fan of him. I told everybody not to draft him. Matt told everybody not to draft him. And I mean, if you're holding on him now, I'm sorry, you know, but you just got to grin and bear it right now. That's all. You just got to grin and bear it. And I mean, if there's a hot option out there on the waiver wire for, like, you know, somebody from yesterday's episode that you want to pick up, I'm not against dropping him, especially if it's a shallow league. But if it's a deeper league, if you're talking a 12-man or deeper right now, I'm holding. I'm going to hold and try and get him on the IL if he hits the IL. And if he doesn't, I mean, just keep him on the bench for now, and you get him back in the lineup when that 2 weeks or month comes. And then I'll be honest, on top of that, I sell him after that. After that 2 weeks or a month when he's super hot, you start sending out offers. Oh, Mondesi's hot. He's back to normal. Blah, blah, blah. You know, and I mean, that's the best I can do for you with Mondesi advice, because you know what? Just he's off to a slow start. He's just not somebody I was ever a fan of, and we're going to keep it pushing from there. So our next just little news and note here is Liam Hendrix, man. So far, he's off to a tough start, and hopefully it's due to this back injury. He is day to day. I'm going to get you his stats here because he's off to a tough start so far, and he was the second or even first in some
I got him.
closer off the board. Yeah, go ahead, Matt. Read them all.
So he's got 4 saves, which is decent but not great. 12 Ks, but here's the killer, which is just uncharacteristic for him. It's a 6.14 ERA with a 2.18 WHIP. Now, I mean, that's just not the Liam Hendrix of last year that was in Cy Young contention. You know what? Maybe Dom's right. Maybe it's a back injury. Maybe it's a new pitch. Maybe it's a release. Who the hell knows? But all I know is I don't like it. But I don't know. I doubt it's going to stay unless his injury is something serious. So I guess we wait and see and go from there. It's kind of depressing at this point.
Yeah, I'll just throw this out there too. The thing with, if you guys listen to us, another thing that we talked about coming into the year is we're not high on closers. There was people drafting closers in leagues in like the second and third round, and I'm just sitting back like, damn, because you know what? You don't have to do that. You can wait in these, and I know I'm beating a dead horse at this point because we're not drafting anymore. But for future reference, guys, you don't need to go out there and draft the 1 or 2 closer because you never know a closer. It's so volatile. And I'll say this with Hendrix, I definitely think he gets better and returns to similar form across like the last 3 years. But you know what? It's just a tough situation right now, and you wait and see because he's not a guy you could really drop. But to keep it moving here, our next little news and note is going to be Jonathan D is back, just getting back in your lineup, so adjust accordingly on that one. Chris Bryant is still out for the Rockies. His back day to day. We'll keep you updated on that one. I'm not sure how serious it is. It looks like he might need an IL stint because he's been out like 3 or 4 days now, but we'll see with that one. Brian Reynolds hits the COVID IL for the Pirates, so keep an eye on your Pirates. I mean, not that any of them are that good, but just watch out over there. They might have a little COVID going around. Blake Snell's working his way back from an injury there. I forgot exactly what it was, but he's got a minor league appearance coming up soon. I will note there because Matt wanted me to talk about it. Mackenzie Gore is going off right now against the Reds once again, and he's doing his thing, guys. If he's still available in your league by some miracle, pause the podcast, go pick him up. He's going to be absolutely great as long as he's in the rotation.
In Yahoo, he's 64% owned, so he's out.
So, no, there's room there, guys. There's room right there. He needs to be closer to 80, 90, if you ask me. Looks like he's earned himself a spot there. Lourdes Gurriel is day-to-day, but did he play today? I thought I saw he was back in the lineup. Yes, he is. He's back in the lineup hitting 5th, so don't even worry about that one. Gary Sanchez is dealing with an injury. It looks like he might be hitting the IL. Andrew Heaney's still not throwing for the Dodgers. So if you need to drop him and you got better stashes for your IL, I mean, go ahead at this point because you never know with him. It's going to be interesting. Sonny Gray is dealing with a hamstring injury. Not sure the severity on that one, but you know what? At this point, you could just drop him. I'm not really super interested in Sonny Gray. Eddie Rosario got eye surgery, I believe, for his eyesight. I'm not sure if it was LASIK, but it was something along the lines of that. He was having problems with his vision. So that's going to be,
he's on the 10-day IL right now for that.
Yeah, 10-day IL.
Retroactive to April 25 with blurred vision, swelling in the right retina, which is just not great. And
he got the surgery, though.
Laser surgery. So that means
you got a timeline there on him or no?
Let's see. So,
but Eddie Rosario, I mean, at this point, I would drop him if you got
him. Drop him 8 to 12 weeks.
Yeah, 8 to 12 weeks. Yeah, drop him, and then if he comes back and he's hot, you pick him up then. Last one here is somebody we've been talking about on the podcast, me specifically, that I'm interested in, but not anymore. Jordan Hicks got hit on a comebacker on the wrist last night. He did avoid a serious injury, however. I'm going to read you the update here. Yeah, he got hit by a comebacker in the 3rd inning. All right, so, I mean, right now, kind of just be careful with him. I probably He has every intention of making his next start, though. So I mean, just be careful. If he has a good matchup, I mean, you could run him out there again. He wasn't horrible, but
Drop.
I think I think well, Matt says drop him. I like him, but he's not like somebody you need to hold on to, you know. But he does have I think a little bit of value in deeper leagues. So
Drop
guys,
like
we're going. Matt gives him the Snoop Dogg. I guess get him out of here, guys. You know you can do better. So we're gonna move it into our main theme of our episode here. So this is the last one. We're gonna see you guys in April until May. So we're gonna do April's standouts and disappointment, guys. You know, at this point, we've got almost a month of baseball under our belts, and I mean, I think it's a little too early for full victory laps yet. But you take a half a victory lap if you guys are performing, and if you guys are disappointing, we got a list of about 10 names here, and we're gonna tell you what we think that you need to do with these guys at this point. So to start off, we're gonna do some standouts. I know this is one of Matt's boys. It's funny because this is somebody, if you listen to the podcast, I was a little bit of a hater on, but I guess I wasn't as much of a hater as everyone else because I wound up with this guy in about 3 of my teams. That's Jazz Chisholm Jr. He's off to a hot start. So far, Jazz has got a 286 batting average. He's got 4 bombs, 4 steals, 15 RBIs. So he's getting it done here in the early going. He looks healthy. He's getting stuff and things done, man. That power speed combo is legit. I could see him going 25 this year. The batting average was the thing that always scared me. It was really scaring me, the batting average. But looks like he's keeping it up so far. Matt, my brother, Jazz, a little sweet jazz music.
If I could play it, I would. But you know what? I do think the batting average comes down to a 275. I don't think it's going to stay this inflated. But the steals and the home runs, I think, are real. I think there's even a 30-30 potential. That's just me.
It's definitely possible.
I truly love the talent, even though Dom's on the haterade and just kind of rode the Matt train and drafted my team this year. In every league, all his teams look like something I would draft. The first year, we start sharing all our information. What does he do? He goes and steals the guys, the champions, the 2-time champs things over here. But anyway,
I'm still the reigning champ.
Just one time though. Anyway, so it's one of those things where I just think Jazz is about to full-blown breakout. I think that he's an ultimate steal, and at second base, it's honestly even more valuable. So you know what? I'm looking at him how I'm looking at Ozzie Albies right now. It's going to be something very exciting to watch, and the only thing that's going to be low on him is the ribbies because there's not much besides Jesus Sanchez. So that's the only thing I see.
Oh no, Jesus Sanchez. Oh my God, Jesus! Yeah. I'm losing it. Oh my God, Matt, you were right.
Just take another one.
I was zoned out there for a second.
But outside of him,
Sanchez,
outside of him, there's really nobody that's going to be in front of him and be on base to really get him some ribs. But we could probably see about 75, 80, and that's where that drop off is. That's going to take him out of that elite conversation for next year's draft season. But I mean, I think the kid's going to be a real talent for the rest of the year moving forward.
Yeah, second everything Matt said, obviously there. We'll keep it pushing. I will say this, Jazz is only 24 as well, guys. So, I mean, he's great for keepers in dynasty leagues, I'll be honest with you. But to keep it pushing, somebody else guys, if you listen to Matt on that one, I know I had a little haterade for him in the preseason, but I did wind up with him on a lot of my teams, so I do like him. But another guy I was ranting about in the preseason, Ty France. I literally told you guys, he had a season in the minors where he hit 400, like 27 bombs over almost a full season. But I'll read you what Ty France is doing so far. He does have first, second, and third eligibility on Yahoo. Guys, this is one I warned you about this one. So far, Ty France is hitting 368 with 21 RBIs, 5 home runs, 25 hits, 11 runs in 17 games, 68 at-bats. He's just building off of what he did last year. And, it's the 18 home runs, a 291 batting average, 73 bombs, 85 runs. I think he's taking that step forward like I kind of predicted, coming into the year. Kind of mad I don't have him on any of my teams, but guys, he's the real deal. If anyone's selling on him and you can get him for a discount, I mean, I doubt you can, but if you can, go out there and do it. He's the real deal. Ty France is legit.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's trading him, but good luck on that one.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it is he wasn't even on my radar. He was pretty buried too. But the last year peripherals, actually were pretty nice, and I'm very disappointed in myself for the overlook. But what I will say is this: I think that it's legitimate. I think he probably gets about 25 bombs this year, and I think the runs and ribbies are even more of a upside and probably gonna trend in an upward direction because of the team that's around him, especially once Julio starts getting going. So that team is ready to rock.
Your boy Winker too. Once they really start, and they're winning games right now without them guys being really hot. Even though Julio's been picking it up a little bit recently, but
so is Winker. He's been putting the ball to the bat.
There you go.
So I'm pretty excited. He just hasn't clobbered the ball yet. So it's one of those things. I could see that team start taking off and start really being exciting to watch. And Ty France is going to be pretty valuable for you. But let's move on to the next guy. And that's Juan De Franco, somebody that Dom was actually, all over me on how high I had him in all my places. So
I'll take my L on this one, guys. No, for sure. I'll take the L on this one.
If you can't tell, we're going to be throwing shade on each other this whole time. Victory laps on each other all day. I just happen to be more right this year to the start of the season. Shots fired. But anyway,
I don't know, Matt. I think you need to check the standings.
Well, that's just standings. You drafted my team. Anyway, so Juan De Franco has been incredible this year. He's doing exactly what I thought he was going to do, plus a little bit more because I didn't think the pop was going to be there that he's showing right now. And let me just pull it up because truthfully, I really just figured he was going to be a 2020 guy. Maybe
I got his numbers here if you want me to read them all for you, brother. You got it?
Yeah. So right now he's doing 13 runs, 4 bombs, 12 ribbies, a steal, and batting .338. Everything is to be expected except for the home runs and the steals. Actually, would have figured he would have had 4 or 5 steals and about 1 home run, if that. So you know what? I'm liking the trend, and I think once he starts moving and grooving and starts stealing some bases, I think we're in for a real nice treat. This is a guy that has probably, number 1 overall upside if he really starts getting it on this groove. So it's going to be exciting. And that's why I had him at my number 7 overall third baseman and shortstop.
Yeah, I'll say this. I definitely didn't expect Wander to come out and have the pop like he does already. 4 home runs in only 68 at-bats when he, only hit 7 last year and 281 at-bats. But I'll say this. The batting average is always to be, over 300. Everyone should have saw that coming. That's what he does. I kind of saw him more as a Tim Anderson-ish guy, this year. And to be honest, I think he could surpass 25 home runs. Or get around 25 home runs. But the thing with the steals is I'm not sure. I need to see a little bit more in the speed department. I think next year coming in, he'll definitely be a first, second round pick. But I can kind of see him being a little bit more in the Juan Soto mold where he might get around, 6 to 10 stolen bases with big pop and, obviously a lot of runs and a lot of RBIs and a high batting average. So, but once again, guys, just Juan De Franco is legit. There's not really much more to say about the kid. I wanted to throw this quote out there. I saw from Rich Hill earlier today. Rich Hill said that the kid's going to be a Hall of Famer. And that's Rich Hill, 40-year-old old man Rich Hill that has been around and seen a bunch of major leaguers over his career. And for him to come out and say something like that, that definitely makes me open my eyes to it even more about how good Juan De Franco is going to be going forward. He's totally going to be a first-round talent for most likely the rest of his career, guys. And just had to go out there and admit I was wrong on that one, because Juan De Franco deserves all the respect in the world.
Yeah, that he does. That he does. And
yes, sir.
Do you want to talk about the other guy you were pretty low on? And was
yeah. You could take the lead on him if you want to, because you were higher on him too.
I had him at my number 5 overall shortstop. So if you refer back to our very first episode, it was there. So we're going to talk about Francisco Lindor. Wow, that felt just how it did when I clipped it for the reel a couple weeks ago. I just like saying his name that way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So he's off to a monstrous start, doing exactly what I figured he would be doing. And that's 12 runs, 4 home runs, 12 ribbies, 3 steals, batting .274. The kid's killing it through like 3.5 weeks of baseball. And you know what? This is a prime example of new team, new contract, and second year taking that step forward and rectifying what everybody thought about him the previous year in his first year of the deal. And you know what? That Mets team is really waking up. I feel like, he was really electric for them, but, screw the Mets. But anyway, it's one of those things where I just think that, he's about to come into his own. I think he's about to return the glory of those 2019 days. And it's going to be exciting to watch Francisco Lindor. And if you listen to me, you drafted him. Good job, Mondo. And, keep it rolling.
Yeah, with Lindor, guys. I'll say this: as the spring went on, I kept constantly moving him up and up and up. And our first episode ever was the shortstop episode, so that was a while back, and I probably didn't have him as high as I did at the end of spring training. At the end of spring training, he was in my top 10, probably around like 7 or 6 shortstop. And I'll say this: I'm starting to notice a trend of a lot of guys like Lindor and Rizzo that have been very consistent throughout their whole career, that had down 20s and 21s, have started to pick it up back here in 2022. I just think that, baseball's had some weird mojo going on over the last couple of years, and we're finally starting to get back to, some normalcy here. And you're starting to see, the things trend back to how they should be trending, especially with Francisco Lindor. As Matt read off his stats, he's having a very, very hot start. And I think he just bounces back similar to, his previous years. I think he gets back up over 30 home runs, a good batting average, RBIs, steals, that's what he's going to do. That's best record in baseball so far. Buck Showalter seems like he knows what he's doing with that team. I'm excited for Lindor. But we're going to keep it pushing here to our next guy, who is we got Seya Suzuki of the Chicago Cubs. I'll tell you this, I specifically wasn't super high on him. He has had a great career in Japan so far. He's 27 years old, and I'm going to get you his numbers so far here to start off the season. Once again, Seya Suzuki of the Chicago Cubs. He's hitting .327. He's got a steal, 13 RBIs, 4 home runs, 17 hits, 12 runs in 17 games. And the Cubs are looking pretty decent. They're looking like they're going to fight against some teams, they're going to battle. But Seya Suzuki, man, it looks like he's the real deal. He's going to be top 30 outfielder. I think if you picked him this year, it's paying off for you. And I think he's legit. I think he's going to stick around and, maybe in a Hideki Matsui mold, similar to that, a guy that came over and his game translated very easily and he helped the Yankees win a championship. Not saying Seya's going to help the Cubs win a championship, but I think he's going to contribute. I think he's going to contribute and put up some good stats there. Yeah,
I mean, I'm pretty excited. I actually really didn't think it was going to translate, so that's my bad. Me either. I guess I probably shot myself in the foot, because if you look at Ohtani, it's just another example of guys that just translate. When they come over and they get paid, and the MLB says, "Yo, I'm going to pay this guy a boatload of money to come play baseball," I probably should take it as a sign. So my bad, guys. I'll do better. But my bad, my fantasy team too, because I didn't draft him anywhere.
Yeah. I will say this: over his whole career in Japan, I was able to get the numbers. He was always a 300 hitter. In 2021 in Japan, he had 38 home runs with 9 steals. He had 317. So I mean, if you really did a deep dive on this guy, you might have saw all this was coming. And Matt and I not only forgive ourselves, but we forgive you. So we're asking for forgiveness from you guys on this one, because we're usually pretty on point, but we totally missed this one. But we're gonna keep it pushing. I'm gonna pass this one to my brother Matt, because I know this is one of his boys here he wants to talk about.
Gilly, yes, sir. Dilly is how I'm referring to that. A little Bud Light commercial action. Sorry, Bud Light. I'm stealing your trademark. Anyway. Yeah, Gilly has just been absolutely incredible. Last year when he got called up, he was the number 1 pitching prospect in baseball. Somebody to watch out for him. When I scooped him up, he showed me a lot of good stuff, and I figured, okay, this year it's going to translate. So it did. So right now, through 22 innings, he has 3 wins, which is just fantastic. 22 Ks, so he's a K per 9 is 1. Oh my God, I didn't even see this. 0.40 ERA.
Yes, sir.
Oh, geez. And a 0.85 whip. So the kid is just unstoppable right now, just looking absolutely incredible hulkiness. I'm super, super, super pumped. And this kid is just going to be bananas. I don't think, he's going to have a 0.40 ERA, but, or even a sub 3. I think that's an outrageous expectation. Now let me be realistic and, do my job now. So I think we're probably going to look at a 3.25 to 3.5 ERA. I think that's a little bit more realistic. I think we'll be happy if he gets a K per 9. If he does any more than that, which he did last year, I believe. Let me fact check myself.
He's going to be over a K per 9. He's a strikeout guy, bro.
Right.
Yeah, he's going to be over.
So he was a little bit over a K per nine last year. He had 119 innings pitched. He got 128 K. So I think that's a fair expectation. He'll keep that moving, and the whip should be pretty reasonable. So I think he's going to be a great prospect. I just think that eventually the wheels might come off for like a week or two, and he might get a little rocked and kind of bring him back home. But he's still going to be an incredible talent, and probably I'm not going to deem him, give him the crown and say top 15 pitcher. But I think the upside is top 15. I think he's going to finish more like a top 25.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with I'm in stride with you there, my brother. And I'll say this: I remember specifically when we did the starting pitcher episode. I forgot whether it was your breakout or your sleeper that was Gilbert, but it was one of the two. Mm-hmm. But when you brought him up, I mentioned this as well. He was working with Jacob deGrom in the offseason. And I had him ranked fairly higher than the consensus, out there, the fantasy baseball consensus. But I didn't have him high enough to get him in as many leagues as I would have liked. I only got him in one league. But once I heard he was working with deGrom, I was like, damn, there's got to be something there. High end pitching prospect. He showed, over a strikeout per 9 last year. He had a 1.17 WHIP last year. ERA was a little bit high, but you know what? It's a kid who's building. I comp him this year to last year's like a Alek Manoah or a Trevor Rogers. A young kid that came up out of nowhere. Well, not really out of nowhere, but some high end kids that came up and showed out, and that's what Gilbert's doing this year. So once again, Matt, I even think that he once again could get a 3 ERA, a very very good WHIP. I think he gets like 140, 150 innings depending on how far Seattle likes to let him go, and if he gets that far, 170 Ks, 12 to 15 wins, probably closer to 15. I think Gilbert's going to be a standout this year. And next year, we're going to be talking about him easily in the top 20. Like Matt even said, maybe he even sneaks into the top 15 going into next year. And guys, he's the truth. He's the real deal. It's not a fluke. It's not phony. Logan Gilbert's is legit, guys. So we're going to keep it pushing here to our next one. Somebody who's one of my boys from back in the day, Kyle Wright. Dude, he's killing it so far, and was one of my favorite Braves pitching prospects coming up. Came up with Tuki Toussaint and I forget the other kid that came. They all kind of came up together, but then they all kind of fell off a little bit. But he never really got the chance. Over the last few years, he's only thrown about, he had 38 innings in 2020, he had 19 innings in 2019, and 6 innings respectively in 2018 and 2021. So he's just been banged up, never really had the shot. But I'll read you off what Kyle Wright is doing for the Atlanta Braves so far this year. In 3 starts, he's 2-0, a 1.06 ERA, 17 innings. 26 Ks. Oh my, wow. I didn't even realize he had that many Ks. Only 2 walks and 0.76 WHIP. Damn. And I'll tell you this, he has a great track record in the minor leagues. So I mean, he looks like he's breaking out right now at 26 years old for the Atlanta Braves. I'll say this, I like Logan Gilbert a little bit better than him, but man, are they close and in step. These young pitchers, breaking out once again reminds me of a Manoah or a Trevor Rogers from last year that just came out as a young kid and just showed the league what they can do. I believe Kyle Wright's another guy who's just legit, and I'm holding, not selling, just want to take the ride with Kyle Wright. I'll tell you this though, innings might not be too crazy. He's another guy who hasn't thrown a lot of innings in the bigs. He might get you 150. So I mean, just accordingly with this guy. I think he's just going to be a beast. Yeah,
I mean, I'm kind of mad at myself that he wasn't on my radar either. So this is where I kind of dropped the ball again. I mean, I liked him as like you said, the pitching prospect, but honestly, I didn't think he was going to get the go ahead this year, and nor did I think he was going to perform because of what Tuki did. And Tuki was a higher end prospect at the time.
Yeah.
So I can't remember the other dude.
Yeah, right. I just said the same. There was one more kid that was like the 3 of them, and I
liked him better than Tuki.
Yeah, guys, write in. Somebody write in.
Comment, make me feel better.
Yeah, please, somebody DM us or something because I can't remember who it was.
But anyway, you know what? Here's how I'm looking at it. He probably not going to keep up the ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Again, I think he's going to be around where I just said, Gilly's going to be, and that's going to be a 3.5 ERA. He's probably going to have a boatload of strikeouts,
yeah.
But I don't even know if he sees 150 because, again, he's been banged up. He may see more like the 120, 129 range of innings, which therefore he's probably going to get one of those, okay, it's almost all-star break, get sent back down, then get called back up like end of July and then finish out the year. So you might go a month without the kid.
Well, I say hold. Even if that does happen, you still hold him. He's still going to be great.
I mean, if he's still going elite, they may be hesitant to do so. So I guess it's a TBD. But again, it's one of those things where, I just kind of like to predict what can possibly happen, and
of course,
it's just something to look out for, and possibly just know you could be without him. Not saying it's going to happen, but it might. And let's move on here. So we got my boy Pablo Lopez. He just picked up where he left off before he got hurt. So the kid's having a great season. He's somebody that's injury prone. So me drafting him, and literally in every league I have. I should have got a pair of crutches too, but at least, he pitches a good amount of innings before he gets hurt and does great things. So last year he only made it 102 innings, and but he did kill it though. So he had 5 wins, 115 Ks, and had a 3.07 ERA with a 112 WHIP. And that was last year in 2021 before he got hurt. He had that shoulder injury that just kept lingering and lingering and lingering. And this year he's picking right back up, though. He has 2 wins, 17 Ks, a .52 ERA with a .75 WHIP. So, I mean, he's killing it. And, I'm not at this point, I'm just going to take what I can get. And then once he gets hurt again, we'll see what happens. But he's just going to be great until he just flames out. So just ride it out.
Yeah, I'll say this, my brother. I mean, I would wish you'd have a little bit more confidence in your boy here that he could give us a healthy season. He's only 26 years old, but as Matt pointed out, he's been quite injury prone over his career. I will say this though, I do want to highlight. I know Matt highlighted the 2021, but I want to highlight the last 2 years combined. He had 31 starts over the last 2 years, so that's almost a full season, right? So this is going to give us an idea of the type of guy that Pablo Lopez can be. It's a 3.26 ERA over the last 2 years. He's got 11-9 record, 160 innings pitched, 174 Ks with a 114 WHIP. So my thing is, if Pablo Lopez can stay healthy for a full season, those are some pretty dominant numbers. I really think he has the upside of a top 30 starting pitcher if he could stay healthy. So health is going to be key here with him, guys. I mean, I would truly love to think that he's another guy that could be in the 140 to 150 innings range if he's healthy. If Miami, stays in contention, maybe they ride him a little bit more, but they're really good with pitching. They're really good. Trevor Rogers, Sandy Alcantara, they got a couple kids down in the minors that look great so far too. So they know what they're doing there. I mean, I really like Pablo Lopez, and once again, guys, if he can stay healthy, he's going to be a top 30 starting pitcher. So let's keep it pushing here to our next standout so far. We got Jordan Romano, another guy, Matt. Yeah, come on, Matt. You did pretty well. So I mean, I think both of us. I mean, this is a list of guys that we highlighted a lot of these guys in the offseason. But my brother, I know you had Jordan Romano as your third closer. So go ahead, give us a Romano rant.
So I mean, I kind of called this, but it's not like he's like this super uber talent that's like, oh my god. It's more of he's a good enough talent that's going to get the opportunity. And he's going to be on a great team that's going to be able to constantly get him those opportunities, right? So this is exactly why I had him at my number 3. The kid has freaking 8 saves already.
Yeah.
8. And 11 Ks and a 1.93 ERA with a 0.96 WHIP. Like, I mean, I didn't think it was going to be this incredible, but I mean, I'm pretty happy that it is. And you know what? I get to stake my name on it. So, it's one of those things where, you know what? I think we're going to get this for the rest of the season. I mean, easily. I mean, he's in the perfect spot. Unless there's an injury, knock on wood. I think that he's going to be probably, number 3, maybe even number 1, because he may get 40 saves this year because the Blue Jays are that good.
Took the words out of my mouth. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I think it's 40 saves for Romano this year. But I want to use Romano to prove a point. He was somebody that I had in every single league last year because I didn't draft my closers high. And he was somebody who came out on the wire. I forget that the guy, Merriweather. I think Merriweather was supposed to be the closer for them last year. And, it didn't pan out. And you got Romano for nothing off the waiver wire. So my whole thing with closers is you be patient and you play the waiver wire game usually with them, and you get a couple of ones at the end. You throw darts at. But Romano had a great year last year. Last year, he had himself 23 saves in 63 innings, 85 Ks, 104 whip, 2.14 ERA. It's just going to be more of the same this year, and he totally has 40 save upside in my potential with that Toronto Blue Jays lineup. They're gonna be fantastic this year. So once again, we're gonna keep pushing. But Matt, do I get any credit on this one? I think we had a whole clip of this guy before the season. Yeah, that's my boy Michael Kopeck. He's somebody who I had a lot of faith in. You know, one of our fellow league mates was asking me my thoughts on if he should keep him or not. I said, you know what, man, he's going to be worth it. At 26 years old, he was a number one pitching prospect at some point. So far, Kopeck in 3 starts, he has a 0.64 ERA, 14 innings, 15 strikeouts, 5 walks, and a 0.78 whip. I mean, these kids look fantastic so far. I think he's another guy. Once again, we know we're highlighting some young cats here who haven't pitched a lot of innings so far in their career. I think he gets to the 140, 150 inning threshold. He's be over a strikeout per inning. He's always been in his whole career. And I think he's just going to put up some good numbers for the White Sox. I know they've been struggling so far to start the season, but Kopeck hasn't. And if you were listening, you got him on your team. He was a late round pick. And it's just paying off at the moment. I once again, he doesn't keep a under 1 ERA like Gilbert and the other guys that we were highlighting that have the under 1 ERAs right now. But these guys can all be around a 3 ERA with good strikeouts, good whip, and I mean, it's just you want to keep a hold, especially to Kopeck, man. At 26 years old, I think this might finally be the year that we've all been expecting from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Dom pretty much nailed it. Kopeck's just going to be elite when you throw gas like that. There's nothing else you could probably say. It's, essentially he's Chapman as a starter with better stuff. So, there's no other way to explain it other than, good luck even seeing the ball. But you know what? I don't need to go too far on it. Let's move on to the more sadder part of this podcast, and that's our disappointments. And you know what? There's a lot of names on here, a lot of good, big names that, you know what? This hurts. And I'm going to start off with my boy. And, I should play some sad music, but I'm not.
Yeah, I wish I had that like a little sad drop.
Man, and it's Brandon Woodruff. So the only thing I'm going to say is he got lit up in 3 innings on his first outing. Only pitched 3 innings, had 17 ERA. And then literally on Saturday, no, not on Saturday, on the 26th. So that's Monday. He was killing it through 4 innings to the end of the 4th, and then blew it up and gave up a couple runs and ended up with a 9 ERA. But then in between that, he had his second start on the 14th, which was like 2 Ks through 5 innings and no earned runs. And then April 20th, I figured we got some some hope with 9 Ks and no earned runs, but it was against Pitt. So. Be honest, he's getting hit by real bad teams because it's just been Chicago, St. Louis, Pitt. So this isn't good stuff for us. I think that he will bounce back. At least I hope he will at this point. But my worry-o-meter on him is probably more like a 7.
Damn, you that worried?
Dude, to be completely honest, I'm at this point where hey man, you invested in for him to be your number 1 pitcher.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem here. I'll pick up where Matt was leaving off there. Is that I'm a little worried. I don't know if we had the worryometer out right now, I'd probably be around like a 4, maybe a 4.5. Because my thing is he's got the track record going back to 2018. So 2018 through 2021, Brandon Woodruff has 69 starts across 84 games, 417 innings pitched, a 3.06 ERA, 26 wins, 18 losses in that time period, 492 strikeouts, and a 104 whip. So for Brandon Woodruff, that's a long track record. That's 417 innings across the last 4 years there, man. So I think he gets back to around those numbers. You know what? Maybe this is like a year like Aaron Nola last year where the numbers, don't show out as great, and maybe his ERA is maybe in like a 3.6 from like 2018 and 2019, he had a 3.6 ERA both of those years. But you're going to get the strikeouts. The whip is going to come down. He's going to be on a roll for, like a 2-3 month period of time, because these numbers are going to normalize. He's not going to be over 5 ERA pitcher. So honestly, I say go out there right now and you try and shoot a trade at the Brandon Woodruff owner. Matt is one of them, and he's at a 7 right now. So if the Woodruff owner's at a 7, man, you go out there and you shoot him an offer. And I mean, Matt, I'm going to tell you to hold pat, my brother, and I'm going to tell everyone else to hold pat. I just totally think that this guy gets it figured out. I had Brandon Woodruff in my top 10, probably around 6 coming into the year, and I think he finishes strong. I don't think you worry yet on Woodruff.
I mean, I may be at a 7, and he's still a hold, just for everybody's information. Yes.
Yes.
You don't trade him. You ride and you die with him because you probably picked him with your first 2 picks. So you know what? You're going to die on that hill. At least I will. Sir. All right, you take the next one.
Yeah, we got it. I'm pushing here. Somebody who I don't think either one of us are that high on, but the industry was, and that bothers me because if you were listening, another guy I was fading. That's Eduardo Rodriguez of the Detroit Tigers. He was coming over from Boston. I'll tell you this: I was in on him last year because I was like, you know what? He's still 28. He pitched 200 innings the year before. He had 213 strikeouts. The ERA looks good, but the whip's always been bad. His whole career, his whip has always been over 1.25. So think about that. Throughout the kid's whole career, he's never had a whip better than 1.25. That just right there it worries me. It should have worried me more going into 2021. But this year, I was absolutely fading him, telling everyone that was listening not to draft him. So far, Eduardo Rodriguez has a 5.03 ERA in 19 innings, only 18 Ks, and a 1.27 whip. And I just don't see it getting much better right now. If you go out, shop him, take anything for him, anything that you can get. If you can get yourself a top 50 starting pitcher for him, I absolutely do it. If you can get yourself a utility bat, I do it. And if not, if you out there and you shop him, nobody's taking him, drop him, because I'm done with him, Matt. I'm absolutely done.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And what kind of solidifies the fact that he's dead? So here's his 4 starts. 4.50 ERA as on Monday. 4.50 ERA on the 20th. 4.91 on the 13th. And a 6.75 on the 8th. And that's 4 innings, 3 innings, 6 innings, 6 innings. So you know what that tells you? His stuff is gone.
Yeah.
So ultimately, you just dump him. And quite honestly, I don't know where everybody was drafting him, because personally, I didn't even look at him. I think he was
going high. He was going inside like some people's top 25s, 30.
Okay. Whoever did that, I'm sorry for whoever gave you bad advice. You just weren't listening to us.
Yeah.
But that's your fault. Anyway, welcome to the pod. Anyway, I mean, sorry, I'm not that cocky. Well, no.
Yeah.
But
anyway. Guys, we will say this though. If you have been listening, and if you're listening today, guys, we have pointed out a lot of guys that we have hit on. We're not perfect though. We've missed on a couple though as well. But to keep it pushing here. Our next one is. Go ahead. Yeah, take it, my brother.
So this one I kind of have a little bit more of a hope and prayer for. So Jose Berrios. So he had 2 bad starts. One was he didn't even make it out of the first inning with like 108 ERA. His second start was not encouraging either. It was a 5.40 ERA with 5 Ks. So at least the K per 9 was there. And here's where I'm like a little bit more hopeful, right? So on April 20th, he had a start he got the win, 6 Ks, 1.5 ERA with a 1.5 whip, a little high. But then as of April 25th, which was Monday. Well, I don't even know. I got my days all messed up. Anyway, he didn't have the Ks, which is surprising, but it was against Boston. 4 Ks, 2.57 ERA with a 0.86 whip, which is a lot better. So I think he's probably trending in the right direction. He's not really like this, like blow me away. Oh my God, I got to have him in every league. But what I will say is he's enough. Like he's enough to do exactly what he did last year, and that was 204 Ks, 3.5 ERA, and a 106 whip, and he's going to get you 192 innings. So I mean, he's a solid arm, and he had 12 wins last year on a very good Blue Jays team. Now they're like a super good Blue Jays team, so I think the wins are going to come up too, so which makes him a lot more valuable. I think that personally. What I'm going to do is I'm throwing little offers out there and see what I can get. I don't think I'm going to be able to get him, because I think people that have him probably drafted him and probably seeing the perspective from my route. But who knows? There may be somebody that is pretty worried, especially after the first two, and feel kind of burned.
Yeah, I'll say this one, brother. I'm not fully sure if I'm on the boat with you there. I'll say this. Coming into the year, coming at the beginning of, fantasy season. Well, for me, the beginning of fantasy season is always like December, because that's just what I do. Excuse me there. So, I was like, I had him probably like my top 25, and I was just like, Jose Berrios. So then I get into my deep dive around January, and I really start looking, right? And I was just like, I'll tell you this, I'm going to do his stats from 2017 to 2020, right? It's 101 starts for Jose Berrios over that time period. It's a 3.82 ERA, 45 wins, 31 losses, 601 innings, 604 strikeouts with a 1.20 whip, right? So that's a 3.82 ERA and a 1.20 whip across 101 starts. And I mean, that's just kind of mediocre with me. I mean, he's serviceable. He's serviceable. Don't get me wrong. He's a strikeout per inning guy. He eats innings. He always throws a lot of innings, but it's just mediocre. It's just average. It's nothing fantastic for me. I think last year obviously was one of his best years at 27. So he could be building a little bit forward, but I kind of want to see more first. I don't know if I'm really going out there and trading for him like Matt said, but if you got him, you hold. I mean, unless you get a blow you away offer. If somebody's going out there and they're offering you a top 25 pitcher for him, you take it and you run. Even one of these young kids that is going out there and killing it that we were talking about today, I'll say this: if you can go out there right now and trade Jose Berrios for Logan Gilbert, you do that in a heartbeat. I mean, who knows? I'll tell you this. Coming into the year, Jose Berrios was highly valued. So, I mean, if you can go out there and you throw some feelers like that at, names like those guys, even a Pablo Lopez, you throw out there and you throw that trade out there. Maybe you get even a little bit more. Maybe you get a closer and Pablo Lopez for Jose Berrios. And I'm just doing those types of trades because I'm not really a Jose Berrios guy. I think there might be a little bit of hope that numbers get better, but I don't think they're going to be mind blowing.
Okay. Agree to disagree.
So yeah. Well, I mean, we'll keep it pushing though. This is another guy that was someone that I was super high on. I think just the fantasy community was high on, and off to a hard start tonight as well. That's Charlie Morton of the Atlanta Braves. Man, oh man, I had him inside my top 20. I really thought that he was just going to keep beasting out like he always does. But I'll read you Charlie Morton's numbers so far. In 3 starts, he got a 6.32 ERA, 15 innings, 14 Ks, 7 walks. He's let up 3 bombs already, a 1.53 whip. And man, I'll tell you this, so far tonight, he's off to a bad start as well. I believe he's given up 3 runs already against the Cubs.
They pulled him in the second.
Yeah, he's only got one. He only had 1 strikeout, 3.43 whip. It looks like a mess for Charlie Morton so far. I'll tell you this, another guy I'm just moving down my pitcher rankings. He's getting up there in age. He's 38 this year. I don't think he continues this horrid, but man, I wouldn't be surprised if this might be we're nearing the end here for Charlie Morton. It's gonna be interesting. I'll say that. I think he did get off to a bad start last year. I'm pulling those numbers up, but Matt, let me hear your thoughts on Morton so far.
So I mean, right now I'm just like, oh God, the wheels are falling off. I'm straight up panicking. Wario meter is about a 10.5. So you know what? I'm not dropping him because you've invested too much capital into him. But you know what? He's one of those guys where Dom's saying that it's probably going to return to the mean for at least a hair of a time. And once that happens, you trade him so quickly, you don't even hesitate. Okay, you trade him on the name, on that month production, and you say, see you later, and you give me somebody good. And you be out. And that's where I'm at with him.
Yeah, I will say this. I don't know if I'm not far gone on Morton, because I did pull up his stats here from last year, and he had a really bad start last year too. In April/March last year, it was 28 innings, a 4.76 ERA with a 1.20 whip. And then even in May, it didn't get much better for you there. It was a 3.77 ERA with a 1.36 whip, across 28 innings, right? But then, the rest of the season looked a lot better. June June 2.73 ERA with 0.08 WHIP. July 3.68 ERA with a 1.19 WHIP. And then the summer, he just August and September and October. 2.83 ERA, 0.86 WHIP, 2.60 ERA, 0.85 WHIP. So, I mean, maybe he's just a slow starter. I would say give it at least another couple weeks before you really hit the panic. If I'm on the worryometer, I'm talking maybe like a 6 for him right now, just because the age does make me nervous. But it is a little bit, makes me feel a little better that he had a similar start to last season. So we'll keep it pushing, though, from going from Charlie Morton here just to more guys that worry us. It's just Tyler Malley, somebody who Matt and I are both owners of this year, off to a really slow start after almost not really breakout last year, but because he's been pretty good before, but one of his better years of his career. So far, Tyler Malley of the Cincinnati Reds across 4 starts has a 6.88 ERA, 17 innings, 19 Ks, 9 walks, and a 1.70 WHIP. So, I mean, it's just been really tough start here for Tyler Malley. And I'll say this, they've sold everybody, and hopefully he can get out of there too before the end of the season, because that's such a tough park to pitch in, man. And he's always been a little bit on the higher end of the ERA his whole career. So it just makes me a little bit nervous, man. If you wanted to ask me somebody I was really high on the worryometer about, it's Tyler Malley. I'm probably about at an 8.5 on him right now.
Yeah,
definitely somebody I'm going out there and shopping.
What's funny is you offered a trade for him week 1.
Yeah, I did.
So the problem
took it.
it
wasn't even a good trade.
No, it wasn't even a good trade. You offered me Casey Mize, who's getting
right. That's what it was.
I mean, Tyler Malley is a good talent, but this is depressing. Let's do hope that he gets traded, since they sold off pretty much everybody, including his shirt off their back. So, you know what? Let's just see how it is. It could be just, hey, this is a little issue, or hey, this is a trend. But I mean, there is a reason why he had 3.75 ERA last year. He did have a bunch of starts where he did get lit up, and then he probably had a bunch of starts where he had moments of pure genius.
He did. I had him last year.
Yeah. So it's going to be probably more of like a peak and valley situation. It just happens that 3 starts in a row has been strung together of pretty bad starts. But I'm holding him. I mean, I didn't invest too much capital, but I do like the talent enough to ride the peaks and valleys. And you know what? If anything, he's more of a start looking at the matchup and start knowing when you can play him and when not to play him.
Yeah, I'll throw this out there, guys. I think he's at I think they messed around the starts because Hunter Green is pitching this week. So I think they moved it around. I think he's got San Diego, which is a little bit better start. He was lined up against Colorado, which was scary. Yeah, which I would have benched him. But you know what? I think against San Diego, they're not, especially without Luke Voigt right now, they don't really have much going for them. So I probably just throw him out there and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm totally right there with you.
Keep it pushing to the next one. Want to do Marcus Simeon, right?
No, let's do Bo. He's a big one, and then we'll move on to Simeon.
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead. You want to take the lead?
Yeah. Sure. Sorry. So
he's been struggling so far. Struggle bus with Bo.
So the problem with Bo Bichette is we all drafted him like 2, 3,
first round
4,
pick,
5, and it's pretty depressing. But I'm going to bank on the talent, right? So you got to know the fact that he was really good last year, and he isn't just a one-hit wonder. He was a top-end prospect. So what he did last year was a 1-2-1 runs, 29 home runs, 102 RBIs, 25 steals, batted .298. Right? I mean, here's how I'm looking at it. Right on his through 4 weeks and 77 at bats, he's got 9 runs, 2 homers, 8 ribbies, 1 steal, batting .208. So here's the deal. If he had 1 more steal and he was batting about .250, I wouldn't be all that upset. So the way I'm looking at it as a star from last year, I see that he's going to bounce back. My worryometer is probably about a 2. But it sucks right now. But he's also a great trade low candidate. So buy low candidate. So that's what I'm probably doing.
Yes, sir.
You have to give up somebody somewhat of note. But at the same time, you don't have to give up like a Juan Soto for him. You could probably get away with somebody in the second or third round that you drafted that's performing pretty well. So, see what you can get out there and throw some feelers, because when Bo bounces back, which is probably going to be soon now that the weather is getting warmer and balls are going to start flying and, just a little bit more rhythm because, this was a short spring training. I think that things are gonna be bouncing back pretty quickly for him.
Yeah, if I had my worry meter is a -6. Just that I'm not worried about him at all. I think I'll say this: I don't know if he gets to 29 bombs again, but 25 should be easy in the card. And a guy that's going to give you over 100 runs, 25 bombs, 25 steals, and hit you for a good batting average, because that's all Bo Bichette's ever done his whole career. 2019 311 batting average, 2020 301 batting average, last year 298. So he's going to hover somewhere around 300 by the time it's all said and done. Right now, you go out and you talk to the Bo Bichette owner, because I actually know coming into the year, some guys were not as high on him as Matt and myself were. So you go out there right now and you totally see what it takes to get him. And if you could get him right now, I think you're going to be laughing to the bank once that team gets rolling, once Teoscar gets back. George Springer's been hot, Vlad's been hot. So it's only a matter of time before Bo Bichette joins the party and in Toronto and just takes off like he did last year. We'll keep it pushing, though. I did mention the name already. Talking about Marcus Simeon here. This is somebody who I'm not as confident about, man. I did preface this when we talked about him coming into the year. I told you he was not going to hit 45 bombs again, and the runs and RBIs weren't going to be what they were coming out of Toronto going to Texas. Now, do I still think he rebounds? Yeah, I think he rebounds. It's crazy. I'll read you off his numbers so far. Actually, I didn't even realize he has no home runs so far in 17 games, 9 runs, 6 RBIs, 2 steals, and he's hitting 176. So I think that the batting average comes up, but man, it's been a mystery box with him so far. I'm not really sure what what to do here. I'm actually kind of concerned right now with Marcus Simeon. Matt, I don't know about you.
This was why he wasn't like my bless you. Wasn't he my number 4 or 5, shortstop this year. It was one of those things where personally I had him lower in the rankings due to the fact that I didn't know how he was going to perform this year. And also too, it's another thing to look at. It's a first year in a contract on a new team. And you know what? It could be one of those cases where it's just, hey, I got a lot of stuff to work through. So, if I got him in Dynasty or a keeper league, I'm probably keeping him next year. But, and I also do see kind of like a trend to bounce back somewhat, but you're not going to get what you got last year. I think that personally things are going to come down, and regress, but I think next year is kind of where we're going to see more of the regression forward back to the norm. So, you know what? You're just going to have to ride the wave. And, if you were listening to me in the beginning of the year, you didn't draft them as high. And you let him be somebody else's problem.
Yeah, he's interesting though, man. I'm not sure what to expect with Simeon right now. It's really nerve-wracking.
Yeah, for sure. And we got one more guy here, and we're going to talk about Ketel Marte. Marte is one of those guys that have just always been, a thorn in your butt, because the guy can't stay healthy, but he has so much upside. And when he does play, he's incredible. Right now he's playing and he's terrible. So he has 67 at bats, 3 runs, 5 ribbies, 1 steal bat, and 149. That's pretty putrid. And quite honestly, I know people that were drafting him pretty high in the top 100. And you know what? I didn't see this coming. He was probably my 11th overall shortstop, and he was pretty much in my top 10 at second base. And this sucks. He flopped kind of. I do think he kind of returns and regresses a little bit more to what he was doing. But again, if he's performing like this and he gets hurt, which is likely, he's just done. Like, it's just a drop and see you later.
Yeah, I'll add my 2 cents here, my brother. I'm looking at his career stats, and he's somebody who I kind of had. I think I was on par with the community. I had him, similarly to where everyone else had him. But he's not somebody that I really saw myself drafting, and I didn't wind up with him on any of my teams. Because one thing, as I was doing my draft prep this year, I look at that 2019 season, which is where he was an MVP candidate and an All-Star, right? He in 144 games, Katel Marte had 97 runs, 32 bombs, 92 RBIs, 10 steals, and 329. And once again, that's Ketel Marte's 2019 season. And you look at the rest of his career, and you're like, that is the biggest outlier I've ever seen on anybody's, stat on anyone's baseball reference page. And, I see him more as a look at the 2018 where he had, 153 games, 14 bombs. He had 260, 59 RBI, 68 runs. And then, in last year, once again in 90 games, Katel Marte had 14 bombs, 50 RBIs. The batting average was better, 318. So I'll say this, on a bad Arizona Diamondbacks team, if he doesn't get traded, he might just be batting average. And that's about it, because he doesn't really steal a lot of bases. He chips in. His power is suspect at this point. Don't really know what you're going to get with him, especially with the dead and ball this year. And he's going to be no runs and RBIs on that Arizona Diamondbacks team. They've been absolutely putrid so far, and I don't expect them to get any better. So unless he gets traded, my outlook on Katel Marte is pretty grim so far on Katel Marte, guys. But we're going to call it here for this episode. As always, guys, we appreciate you listening, subscribing, doing all the stuff that gets us up there in the community. We're going to do everything we can for you guys, with that. So once again, any questions, comments, concerns, the fantasymds@gmail.com and all social media platforms. We'll be back with you guys next week on Tuesday. Until then, see you.
Peace.